I have one question that has followed me for most of my career. What do some brands make you feel something and others don't? Imagine yourself walking into two coffee shops. Same price, same menu, same neighborhood. But one of them you keep going back to. And then the other, you just forget about it the moment you leave. You cannot explain why, but you just know there's a difference. I study that difference. I'm a brand strategist and a professor. I do case studies on how brands build their unique identity and design their customer experience. I look for answers in luxury hotels, in neighborhood bakeries, in academic research, and in fieldwork. And what I have found has completely changed my perception on branding and its influence. We've been taught that influence is something you push out into the world. In marketing, we tend to define influence in very familiar ways, like reach, awareness, sales, and growth. And in order to achieve these, we try to build a strong brand identity through strict guidelines, tone of voice decks, and brand manuals. A brand identity that needs constant supervision is not an identity. It's a script. And a script can fall apart the moment the author leaves the room. The most powerful influence a brand can have should be shared, internalized, and understood by people. It starts with a person holding a tray, a baker in a kitchen, or a staff member greeting the customer. It starts with hidden co-creators of every great brand. A few years ago, I worked on branding projects for two luxury hotels in Seoul, South Korea. They were located in the same district and under the same brand name. They were beautiful properties, great locations, but differentiation was a little bit weak. And it showed most clearly how employees explained about the hotels. When guests asked about the difference of these two hotels, the employees would mostly respond with the opening dates or the number of rooms or the price difference. There's nothing wrong with these answers, but nothing memorable either. So instead of starting with marketing campaign, we started with people. We spent time helping people understand the brand. Instead of just giving them thick brand guidelines, we talked. We talked about the concept, the target audience, the atmosphere. We even discussed together about the furniture and equipment. At first, managers would ask me every single item, is this okay? Does this fit the brand? A year later, something remarkable happened. When guests asked the same question, the employees stopped talking about the opening dates or number of rooms. They started to talk about the concepts, the design motif, the target audience. They became the brand storytellers. Guests noticed this difference. They described the hotels as heritage-driven, and they also thought the staff were very professional and confident. Nothing dramatic has changed externally, but internally, brand identity had moved from instruction to ownership. At first, I thought this only worked in structured luxury environment, so I wanted to study more about it. So I decided to do a research on a neighborhood bakery cafe right here in Boston. So this bakery was opened in 2000, and today it has 11 locations across Boston and Cambridge. Its vision is simple: make people's lives sweeter. And it even lives the vision, not just through their bakeries, but through their people. Over the following years, I kept on observing this bakery. And in 2024, I decided to do an in-depth research about it. So I spoke with their first-time visitors, their loyal customers, their top management, and also their employees across branches. Employees described their coworkers as friends. They talked about their managers are people who actually listens. One employee loved the culture so much, she recommended it to her husband, and now they're both working for the same brand. What stood out most was the CEO. Every week, she visits stores. She checks in on employees. She eats lunch in the dining area, and then she walks into the kitchen, greets everyone by name. While I was conducting this research, spending months visiting stores, I saw her several times there. That's not a management strategy. That's a culture. And culture is deeply contagious. When I asked loyal customers why do they love this brand so much, many of them gave me the same answer. The staff just look happy. They felt it. The brand identity shows up in whimsical details. You can see the small puns on uniform, messages on paperbacks, hand-drawn stickers by employees, and heart-shaped sandwiches. Customers told me these little details make them smile. And then a colleague of mine told me something that stayed with me ever since. Her relative visits to Boston regularly for medical treatment. Those are very difficult trips, exhausting ones. And the one thing she is looking forward to is stopping by at this bakery cafe. Imagine this. In the middle of one of the most difficult experiences a person can go through, a bakery cafe becomes a refuge, not only because of the pastry, but because of how it feels like to be inside. So, what do a luxury hotel in Seoul and a neighborhood bakery cafe in Boston have in common? They both understand the importance of internal branding, that co-creating brands with people who live it every day is the only branding that lasts. When your staff feels like a cog in a machine, your customer feels like a transaction. When your staff feels like a storyteller, your customer feels like they're a part of something worth remembering. We often try to fix our brand influence by changing a logo or redesigning a website or launching a new campaign. But that's like trying to fix your reflection by painting the mirror. If you want to change the reflection, you have to change the person standing in front of it. These are the hidden co-creators, the people who show up every day and decide in thousands of small, invisible brand moments. If you want to have real influence, whether you are leading a global company or a neighborhood shop or just one person, stop looking at the megaphone. Look at your people. Look at the culture you're building. Look at the language you use when no one is watching. Because when you redefine influence as internal transformation, the world doesn't just see your brand, they feel it. Do you remember the question that I started with? Why do some brands make you feel something and others don't? The answer, it turned out, was never in the brand. It was always in the people inside it. Thank you.